Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. We are live and I'm joined today by a very, very special guest indeed. It is none other than Mr. Donovan Sharpe, one of the OGs of this male space we inhabit. How are you, mate?
I'm doing good, man. I think this is the first time I have ever been on your channel. I'm not 100% sure, but
I think we did do one a while back when Womanese first came out. I think we did one back then, but it was going back a little while. So
yeah, God almighty.
So,
and a lot of guys, they see us on camera, and for those who really pay attention, you and I, we go way back. Like
absolutely,
dude, we were one of the first 15 original columnists for Return of Kings, man.
Yes, and I think a lot of people probably don't know that. People probably don't realize that unless they've listened to a couple of live streams that we've done before. But yeah, absolutely, man. And I've loved your stuff even since then.
Oh yeah, of course, man. And it's funny because what impressed me about you was all of your Jay-Z references. I was like, this guy, he listens to Jay-Z. I thought it was pretty cool, man. So
yeah, mate.
Mention about you for real.
No, thanks, man. No, that article, I really like that particular article that I did about Jay-Z because I was listening to a lot of his stuff at that time. And obviously I was really kind of getting engrossed into the Rollo Tomassi stuff, all of the Red Pill stuff. And I was thinking, shit, the stuff that Jay-Z was saying, he was just laying it on the line,
Oh, man. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And it's funny because now you look at rappers now, and I mean, it's like Drake and people like this. And it's less raw than it was at one point, isn't it?
Oh, yes, definitely. It is definitely a lot less raw. And obviously it's because of, I mean, to me, it's simple. It's because of cancel culture, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't get away with like the things that like the NWA, Dr. Dre, Eazy-E. You can't get away with talking about that stuff anymore. You just can't. Otherwise, you get canceled out. To me, that's really what it comes down to. So you really have to be careful. Now, Jay-Z is obviously a made guy, and he's too big to cancel. I suppose he's already made his billions of dollars. But yeah, rappers today artists today can't really say what they really want to say. And I think that more people, they probably have more RP awareness than most of us are probably even aware of.
Yeah, well, they must do, right? Because imagine if you are in that position where you're in the limelight, you've got women throwing themselves at you 24 hours a day. I mean, you're going to see what's happening, aren't you? You're going to see the reality of things.
Right. Absolutely. Listen, man, nothing will teach you more. How can I put this? Nothing will teach you more about a woman's true nature when you have access to them. A lot of guys who, and it's interesting to me. It comes down to experience. For me, man, if you have to, and there are a lot of great theories out there in terms of how to handle women, et cetera, but you can always tell the difference between those who don't know how to handle women and those who do know how to handle women and those who are pretending that they know how to handle women, because a lot of the things that they say are sort of parroted from other ideas. There are very few original thoughts that go involved. Your original thoughts, inceptions of ideas, that comes from just straight up having copious amounts of experience with women. There's absolutely no substitute for that. So again, the best way for any man to be RP'd, I guess, to keep it kind of clean for YouTube, is just to go out there, get your nose blooded, and have all the bad experiences.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I think Rollo will always say it was actually the pickup guys. It was actually the dating guys who were going out there time and time again, who really were the sort of like the archaeologists doing the digging, right? And then he was sort of collating it all and theorizing it all, but it was people who are out there in the trenches who are really having the experiences, sharing it all, and that's where it all came back. And that's why, I mean, going back to Return of Kings for a second, when we were writing for that, I think in a way for me it was one of my best creative periods because like I remember during that period I actually went on a trip to Vegas. Okay. And I was on that trip to Vegas, and I actually wrote a few articles from Vegas for Return of Kings, and it was all based on. Then you go down to the club, go down to the club at the Encore, whatever, and hit on some girls there and see what happened, and then report back, right? And it's that sort of just being on the cutting edge, I think is really valuable, because it's not about theorizing about this stuff. It's about what is actually happening out there.
Yeah, man. I think, and again, experience is clearly the best teacher. But what it really, really comes down to, and this is where, because you and I had our PUA days, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dude, I've slept with, I don't even know what my notch count is. I perished the thought. But where I guess the old school pickup artists, I guess we want to call them that, Mystery, your good friend Paul Janka,
Yes.
Owen Cook, aka Tyler Durden, and this isn't through any fault of their own, but guys learned very quickly, at least if they were willing to learn, okay, I know how to pick up girls. Well, as great as it is to pick up girls and have relations with them very, very quickly, at the time, there were very few columns, podcasts, YouTube channels that talked about how to handle women after you shagged her for the very first time, right? So this is where a lot of Neil Strauss, there are these old school pickup artists, Neil Strauss to be exact, who are going through messy divorces because, okay, they know how to pick up women. They don't know how to handle them in a relationship, from a relationship standpoint. Now, some guys are advocating, listen, never have a relationship with a woman, et cetera, et cetera. And I cannot disagree with that. But if you do want to put in the work, this is where you come see guys like us.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really brings us on to the topic for today, because we were talking just off air before we came on. You've just been through a very, very, very busy period, very successful period, because you've just come off of the CME, the first ever conference for masculine excellence, which was, well, we'll talk about it in a second, but which was a rip-roaring success. And, you've succeeded. You went out there to do this thing. You put it together. You've done it. It's as I say, everyone's loved it. It's been a great success. But, of course, you've also suffered a lot of adversity recently as well from various quarters. And it just seems to me that I don't know, man, there's a lot of bullshit in this space.
Yes, there are.
And a lot of infighting in this space. And all of that stuff, really, it's personally damaging and to you and to other individuals, but ultimately it's all a waste of time.
Yeah.
Because who the fuck is it helping, right? And so it's kind of like you've got to, and in anyone who's watching this, in your own personal life, you really want to fucking avoid BS as much as you possibly can, and just think about what you want and go forward with that stuff, right?
Yeah, man. For me, it was easy to sort of stay above the fray. And why is because I was extremely busy. I just didn't have the time. I didn't have the time to deal with it. I mean, obviously, I had to try to do things behind the scenes to make sure I protected myself and the people that I care about. But yeah, and I remember, just going back to our Return of Kings days, we remember all of the old school haters. Anita Sarkeesian, and of course, there was, what was her name? Zoe Quinn with the whole Gamergate thing. I would say the time period between 2014 right up until about the end of 2015, those were the golden years for the red pill. Like, dude, we were banded together. All of our haters were feminazis, and we loved it. And dude, it was me, you, Toothmosis, Matt Forney, of course, Athlon McGinnis, the guy that I replaced. Dude, we were all superstars, man. And I loved how it galvanized us in ways I never thought possible.
Yeah.
But then I started my podcast, and little by little, I started noticing that there was a different kind of hate coming our way. And this, of course, is men turning on each other. Just like I said in that trailer, it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody for men to be attacking each other, because again, the world doesn't care about us. We are on our own. I'm not here to complain about it, but it is what it is. But we can't improve men. We cannot build men up if we're constantly trying to tear them down for selfish reasons. I know that a lot of guys out there who have completely foregone relationships with the opposite sex, and for good reason. I am never, and I used to be hard on those guys, but I'm never going to be the guy, at least not anymore, who's going to say, you should, man up and do what you need to do. No, man, it is hard out here in these streets. The game and the rules have definitely changed. But by the same token, if that's the decision that you've made, that's fine. And you can start YouTube channels and all that good stuff. But then when you come after guys who are doing what you are advocating not to do, that doesn't help anybody. Guys, they can either go one way or they can go the other. I'm never going to be the guy that says don't go this particular way. But the other side, as it were, and it's a shame that it's men, dude, they're always throwing shade. They're always talking junk. We're grifters and we're hustlers and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, that doesn't help anybody. And think about this, Troy. Think about this. Think about how many men have been swept up in that negative flow. They find this community, and the first thing they see one of the first things they see is XYZ content creator exposed. Now you're seeing all these attacks and hit pieces. Well, guess what, man? If it bleeds, it leads. That's the rule, and it's just more interesting to read that stuff. But the real issue is those on the quote unquote other side, the BP guys of the world. A lot of what they say is absolutely true in terms of what's going on, but they're not offering solutions. They're content with just sitting around and complaining all day long. There's a time and a place for that. But when men who have never heard about this get caught up in that flow, they don't come over here and want to do the work. And so think about how many men we could have helped that we can't help anymore because they got caught up in that flow.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, it's funny actually, because during the Return of Kings period, I did notice about 3/4 of the way through when we were working on it, the comments did start, certainly towards my stuff, the comments did start to get more negative. I mean, I was getting, because I was writing these dating articles every week, be like, yeah, I approached this girl and this happened, that happened, blah, blah, blah. And, they they did well. I mean, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but, I got some, regular readers and everything like that. And the comments were good because you had people really analyzing the stuff and going, yeah, this happened to me, that happened to me, this is what I think, etc. But then, and obviously some haters as well. But then the hate started to creep in where the people were saying, it was much more, this stuff doesn't work. This is all BS. This is all just, you guys should just give up. This is all fake, and that I think was that sort of turning point. And it's much more that sort of content or that sort of criticism that we're seeing now.
Yeah, man. And again, how can I put this? And I'm not trying to be politically correct here because this is really how I feel. But when it comes down to it, Troy, men are grown. They can do whatever it is they want to do.
Yeah.
If you decide to check out of the dating market or whatever the case may be, hey man, like I'm not mad at you. I'm not trying to hate on somebody else's lifestyle. But again, by the same token, when guys like this come after guys like us, it is literally just out of envy. People, and I think it was Richard Cooper who posted this meme. You're never going to receive hate from those doing better than you, right? Hate always comes from beneath, and the guys that hate are, they're obviously lower. They think that they're in some sort of position that they sort of a moniker that they give to themselves. But all these people are doing is giving themselves away as people who are envious, people who want what we have. Well, if a guy really didn't want what we have, he wouldn't feel the need to do entire panel discussions on guys like me. He wouldn't feel the need to go and start some comment thread or hate on his social media. So they can those guys can say and do whatever they want. They can say, "Oh, we don't believe in this." Listen, your secret is the secret's out. You guys want this life. You're just not willing to work for it, and that's where I think the majority of the hate comes from.
Yeah, and like I say, I mean, it is, the whole thing is such a waste of time for people watching it, because it's like watching soap operas constantly, isn't it? I mean, that's what the whole thing. That's the annoying thing. The whole thing has become a bit of a circus now. It's just like a soap opera, and that's a waste of time for the people who watch that stuff. But it's also a waste of time, really, for the people that produce that stuff. I mean, I kind of get it. You could sort of say, okay, some people to some extent are monetizing it, or there are some people who do sell products or do sell books and they are monetizing it, and you can kind of get that. And then there are other people who are probably, they may not be monetizing it, but they're probably, you can tell they want to build a bit of a following, and so they're getting validation off it. So that I can understand to some extent, although less so. But then you've got a bunch of other people who seem to do nothing else but just sit in comment sections like 24 hours a day writing about this shit. And that really, to me, that is a sad indication of where your life's at, if that is all you're doing. Do you know what I mean? It's just like it's like, have you got nothing else going on?
I mean, that has to be what it is, man. And again, just like you said, man, like, I get it. There are certain guys out there trying to build a following, but you can't build anything by tearing other people down. You just can't do it. Some people will do like they'll go viral because they'll talk about a big time celebrity. Well, yeah. Point now they want these videos all the time, and at some point the message sort of falls short, kind of falls off, because eventually people kind of get tired of they get tired of the same act. Men are angry, Troy. We understand that men are angry, and there's a time and a place to be angry. But if you get stuck in the anger phase, I mean, again, if this is what guys want to do, that's perfectly fine. But guys have to really look at themselves and say, especially guys who are not the bigger guys. I'm just talking about the small time guys, like the guys who just are in the comment section. If you get a kick out of, if the highlight of your day is just trolling other people, you really, I mean, those are miserable people. I mean, they're almost, I'm gonna tell you what, man, guys over, I guess, on the quote unquote black pill side, that's male feminism. It's male. They're playing the victim. All they do is complain. All they do is throw shade. It's male. That to me is male feminism. If you want to be a quote unquote black pill male feminist, be my guest. But in the end, we know we're doing better than they are, because we don't feel the need to go over there and talk. No, we're not doing panel discussions. Every once in a while we will talk about this stuff, but when it comes down to it, men do not hate on things they don't want. You never see guys, ha 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 ha, his girlfriend is fat and ugly. No, they'll say that thing. They'll say that same thing about a guy who has an attractive girlfriend. Ha ha ha, look at that loser driving a Lamborghini, right? No, they never say, ha ha ha, look at him driving this beat up Toyota Camry. They don't have to do that, because it's obvious that his life is shit. So what they try to do to make themselves feel better is they try to poke holes in our success. Well, the only reason why you're where you are is because you're a thief or a criminal. The only reason why your girlfriend is this or that is because of X, Y, and Z. Listen, they can try to qualify our success all they want to. They know we're over here kicking life's ass. And I'll say one more thing too. There's a lot of accusations hurled in my direction, your direction. You guys are just doing this for the money. Well, here's the deal, man. No, I'm not just doing this for the money, but it's not a crime to monetize your knowledge. It's not a crime. And I'm not, listen, and all I need to, this is all just a money grab. Listen, isn't everything a money grab, right? And in the end, man, I'm not going to apologize for trying to make money. We live in a free capitalistic society. That's what it's here for.
Yeah. Yes, no, I agree. And it's ironic, isn't it, that most people in this space are let's face it, on the right of the spectrum. Most people are sort of, hardcore, capitalists. There's socialism, Joe Biden, blah, blah, blah. And yet, for some reason, these same people seem to think that the people in this space should all work for free, which seems a bit weird, right?
No, that's not weird. It's disingenuous, right? I don't think it's weird at all. I think, and again, it's almost like, and it's funny because a lot of these guys are actually trying to sell books and courses. They're actually trying to sell books and courses. You shouldn't listen to this guy, 24 Secrets to, Manhood or something like that. Wait, what? You're going to talk junk about how I'm charging for my particular conference, but then turn around and try to sell something? No. Every guy in the comment section on videos who want to throw shade in our direction for having the audacity to try to make a good living and try to make generational wealth, those guys wish that they had thought of it first. They wish that they were doing what we're doing. So they want the world to believe that they don't want what we have. That's all that is.
Yeah. No, you're right. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's just mad, isn't it? But what I suppose the most concerning part of all of this, though, is that, like you said, people will come into this space. Guys will come into this space who clearly they're looking for answers. Either they want to improve dating, they want to improve their life in different ways, and then they get drawn into this cycle of negativity, and that's just going to set them back. And I mean, and this is why, of course, we talk more about the conference now. But what you're doing and what we've all been trying to do in the face of all of this noise is just to carry on, you know, putting out good quality content, putting out good quality events in your case that are actually helping guys. And that surely is the answer.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, there's a time and a place to be, because I probably went through the anger phase for about a day or so. And the reason why it didn't last that long is because inside I knew that there wasn't something quite right about what was happening around me in terms of our culture, dating, relationships, and marriage. I inherently knew that there was something wrong. So when I found this community, it was almost like a breath of fresh air. Okay, I got angry for a day or so, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But when it comes to things like this, I suppose, you know, our detractors and you know, our I guess our naysayers, what we really need to understand is that most of these guys are just hurt and angry. That doesn't make them flawed individuals, because we've all been hurt and angry. At some point, hopefully, some of our biggest, our strongest detractors will eventually wake up and say, you know what? And a lot of guys tell me this, Donovan, I didn't like you at first, but you know, listen, your content absolutely speaks to me. You know, listen, I might not agree with everything, but you know, you absolutely positively know what you're talking about. So when guys do find this community, like I said, they have one of two choices. They can either, and it's gonna be different. People are going to have it at different speeds, but eventually you can't unsee the truth.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why ultimately, like you say, the strategy, let's say, of being a content creator whose raison d'etre is I just hate on everybody.
Yep.
It may work in the short term. You may get the views, you may get the subscribers, but it's not a good way to build a long-term profile. And what people in the end, what people want and what people respond to is actually good, consistent content and a strong message.
Yes.
And that's why I think, I sometimes think, I don't know how you feel about this, but I sometimes think with hate, there is actually a small net win in it for the people that are being hated on, in the sense that you get, there's a lot of hate out there that attracts attention to you that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise got. A lot of people, they're preaching to the converted. Most of the people who buy into the narratives, they're people that would have thought that anyway. So you're not losing anything out from them. But there's a few people who may not have heard of, say, you or me or whoever it is. And then they come over out of curiosity to have a look, and they go, "Oh, hang on a minute! Actually, this guy isn't full of shit."
Yeah,
and then you win those guys over. So I think overall, there's a small, not to excuse it, but I think overall there's a small net win to it.
The way I see it is this, man: if and people are lazy, do your research. There are always two sides to every story, right? There's his side, her side, and then the truth. And I think people choose people, and just like you said, people, I was always going to have my detractors, right? But when the shit really started to hit the fan, it just gave them, oh yeah, now we can really go after them. Not worried about those guys. Those guys were never on board in the first place. But the guys who actually do their research and say, wait a minute, this guy is 730 some odd episodes in. He's got over 100,000 subscribers. His books and courses seem to be doing very well. People seem to think he knows what he's talking about. Let me check that guy out. At that point, now the person who was exposed to all the negativity at first, they come over, they're like, oh, wait a minute. Just like you said, this guy's not full of shit. This guy is actually really doing it. And when they go back and they see the deep catalog of content that I have, they look over my shoulder and they see me rubbing elbows with some of the OGs of the Madison. Yeah. There's Roosh in the background. There's Kevin Samuels. Coach Greg Adams over my right shoulder. They're like, well, wait a minute. If these guys signed off on Donovan, then maybe I can too. Not everybody is going to like everything about me. That's just life. But when it comes down to it, man, if you're a man and you really allow yourself to be seduced by the negativity, I couldn't help you anyway. Eventually, I would like to be able to help those guys, but I'm not in the business of trying to convince guys to do or think in a certain way. As a man, you inherently understand what's really going on. You might be afraid to say something about it, but we all have that Y chromosome. We all have those masculine instincts. If you're unable to tap into your masculine instincts and see the bullshit for who and where it really is, then I can't help you.
Yeah. And actually that's a good point in terms of you and your, rise to success.
Yeah.
You're probably one of the best networkers in this space, I would say, because you are one of the best well-connected people that I know. And, you know, obviously recent events aside, you've always been very popular with on kind of all sides of any splits or schisms there's been. You've managed to sort of remain popular because everyone just thinks you're a decent guy. You know, or well, all right.
Most people.
Aside from certain individuals, but in general, you know, most people see you for what you are, which is just a decent stand-up guy who's telling it like it is and who puts a lot of work in, right? But the networking, I mean, like you said, I mean, you know some of the, you know some of the biggest figures in this space, don't you? And even transcending this space in a sense.
Yeah, man. And I think that's what gives me credibility. And I'm never the guy who has. I don't consider myself to be a clout chaser. That's just not, I don't know. I know that there are a lot of successful quote unquote clout chasers, guys who are famous for being famous. Okay, that's fine. But me, I mean, I wanted to have a little bit of substance. And I love the fact, Matt W, appreciate, well, I like you too, Matt W. I like, but behind the scenes, man, guys know who I really am. They really do. This is exactly why every single solitary person I asked to speak at my event said absolutely no problem. I've broken bread. Like I've actually had face-to-face, you know, meals with most of the guys I know. And like forging those kinds of relationships are very important. And so again, if someone sees or hears something negative about me, but again, they kind of say, well, wait a minute, Donovan's rubbed elbows with this guy signs off on him. He's had this guy on the show. So who am I going to believe? Am I going to believe these idiots in the comment section or, you know, other guys that are on YouTube? Or am I going to use my common sense and say, well, wait a minute, if he really was this terrible grifter, thief, hustler guy, then how is it that he is able to seduce all of these people and fool them into thinking that he is something that he is not? No, the reason why I have the connections is because I know how to build and forge relationships, and I am exactly who I say I am. There are there are certain elements about my life that I skew a little bit to at least have some semblance of anonymity and privacy. That clearly is out the door now. But even after that, people who have looked me in the eyes, shaken my hand, have had dinner with me, I've had a beer or a cigar with, they're like, you know what? Donovan really is the genuine article. And this is why my brand and this event will continue to grow, because I know how to build and cultivate relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that in itself is something that, you know, guys need to learn. That's something that we all need to get better at, right? Because it is the ability to socially interact with others, the ability to gain respect and command attention, and et cetera, et cetera. That's the thing that ultimately that can get you anything you want, really, isn't it? So learning that skill set, and guys looking to you, they can look to you to learn that skill set. But so talk us through the conference and how it went down, because I know you said it went without a hitch. It sounded fantastic. It looked great on the clips and little bits and pieces that I saw. Yeah, maybe just talk us through how it went down and what the vibe was.
Yeah, man,
at the event,
dude. The CME, and I gotta tell you, man. I was very confident going into this. I don't know what I expected, but I think in the end, what the bar was, I said, listen, if I can just pull this thing off, if I can just get through this conference, if I can get through this event, it will absolutely positively be a win. And far exceeded my expectations. Everything went off without a hitch. We were on time. We were on time. We were on schedule. Way over budget, right? But that was to be expected. But everything worked smoothly, flawlessly, and seamlessly. All of the attendees had nothing but positive things to say the entire time. The venue was spectacular, though expensive, spectacular nonetheless. The whole experience was just, I don't want to call it an out-of-body experience because I wasn't really nervous about it. But again, you know, your first conference, you don't really know what to expect. You don't really know how people are going to, you know, perceive you. But everyone there was very appreciative. Dude, the attendees were respectful. A lot of the other guests, it was fantastic. I can't wait to do the next one, man. I really, really can't.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Fantastic. And you got a bunch of high profile guys to speak to you, to speak for you, which was cool. What were the highlights for you? Was there any particular moments you could pull out?
Yeah, I think it was probably, well, the VIP meet and greet was a lot of fun. It was great drinks, pretty girls everywhere. The highlight for me was probably the 6 Live. And that that of course put a bow on the show, because at that point the last speaker had just gone. I think it was Sterling Cooper, and I remember sitting there with all of my the 6 panelists, and I was like, and I remember thinking to myself, holy shit, we actually pulled this off. We actually did it. Yeah. So the highlight for me was after the 6 was done and over with, I sort of got in front of the camera and said, hey man, we did it, and I can't wait. I cannot wait for the next one. So the highlight for me is when I love doing it, but it was a tremendous relief when it was over, because this has been an extremely stressful but fun time for me.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And you, as you were saying before, I mean, you are coming down off it at the moment. You must be absolutely exhausted right now, right?
Dude, me and Dev are sleeping like 11, 12 hours a day. Dude, we're in bed by 10:30. We're sleeping till like 9:30, 10 o'clock, man. And
nice.
It really has been nice to sort of let go and kind of take some time off, but there's no rest for the weary. Everything is restarting. I'm going to rebrand myself. I've got other plans in the work. I'm actually working on the next CME, and I'll be making the announcement. I'll be making the announcement of the dates for that. I'll be making the announcement. I'm definitely going to do another one here in the fall. When it goes down, I'm not 100% sure. I have a pretty good idea as to where it's going to be in terms of the state. But yeah, listen, stay tuned, man. Bigger, better things to come.
Absolutely. That's fantastic news, man. And Explosive Diarrhea, it's a great name. Says 2 of my faves.
Yes.
He comes into your streams, I think, sometimes, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's diarrhea. You know, it's funny. There's a guy on Twitter named Delicious Tacos. Right.
Well, he's a great guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, Delicious. I just thought that was the coolest name. Is everyone has Delicious Tacos?
I know, man. I know. He is a cool guy. He's a great writer, actually. Have you ever read any of his stuff?
I have not, and I'm aware of the fact that he has written several publications. Am I wrong?
Yes. Yeah, he's written several books. He was a blogger originally, and he blogged about meeting girls on dating apps and the crazy stories he had of like having sex and meeting these different girls and stuff. But he's actually a very talented fiction writer, and he's written a novel and he's written some short stories and stuff like that. He's really, really good, really talented guy.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Listen, I like it. I mean, I'm off Twitter. Like, I don't have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
But I can actually still, read and, all that good stuff. Yeah, Delicious Tacos is definitely he's kind of like a sneak tip Manosphere OG, because he's been around for a while.
Yeah, he is he is kind of in the space, but not, if you know what I mean. He doesn't, come and do streams or anything like that, but he is sort of affiliated with it. So, so he's a cool guy. But that is another point, isn't it? Deplatforming, right? Because you're not on Twitter anymore, and it looked a bit like you weren't going to be on YouTube anymore, but now your channel is up. Do you want to talk us through what happened with all of that?
Yeah, man. So and it's interesting because I've lost 2.5 YouTube channels. So the first 2 times I lost my YouTube channel, I was clearly in violation of the community standards.
Yeah.
And at first I was just like any other guy who gets deplatformed. Oh, F this. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing and get my message out there. I'm going to do it how I want, the way I want. Then I grew up a little bit and I decided, okay, if I really want to help to change people's lives, if I really want my message to get out, I can still create the same hard-hitting content. I just have to be a little bit more creative with my language. That and a few other factors that were in play, that is what helped me to grow exponentially. And it all happened very, very quickly. And it's weird because YouTube appears to be a little bit more lenient on edgier content, which then, of course, comes to my channel being taken down. My channel wasn't taken down by YouTube. It was taken down by YouTube's algorithm. What happened was that it was 2 of the exact same shows. I'm doing I don't want to say the word, but I'm doing an online currency show. I don't want to be cryptic, but that's what it was. 10, 15 minutes into both shows, channel taken down completely. Just violation of terms of service. What was obvious to me is that there was a mass flagging campaign that happened in short order. And I knew when I was on a couple of days ago, I knew I was going to lose my channel. I said, hey, listen, maybe YouTube understands. No, I mean, listen, YouTube, whoever is flagging my channel, they know exactly what to say to YouTube when I'm on talking about that particular topic. So that's what I couple times. And a lot of guys like, oh, YouTube is censoring and this and that and the other. Listen, say whatever you want about YouTube. If not for YouTube, I'm not here. That's just all. And I'm not trying to kowtow or suck up to them, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It was YouTube was not at fault for me losing losing my channel twice, because it took YouTube literally just hours to say, oh, okay, he's clearly not in violation. So the last 2 times I've got my channel taken down, I've been given it back, both times. Obviously you take a little bit of a financial and collateral hit, but all that really shows people is that our opposition, they're getting desperate. They can't, like, guys who are detractors, and they've tried everything. They've had multiple panels about guys like you and me. They've exposed our private information, all this stuff, and I kept pressing forward. And so, and they've tried to intimidate us many times in many different ways, and I just kept plugging forward. And so now, whoever these people may be, they're like, okay, we can't get rid of this guy. We can't use our words. We can't put out information to take him down. So you know what? We're just going to get him deplatformed. And I guess that's their strategy now.
Yeah, which is a bit of a sad state of affairs, isn't it? I saw you on another one of your streams saying, like, if you can't fight back with having better quality information or having a better quality, you can't compete on that level. So just do deplatforming instead.
Yeah,
which is ironically is the exact same tactic that they would decry the feminists and the leftists and all the rest of it for using, right?
Yeah, man. I heard, and it's funny, man. And there are many guys who are detractors, but our detractors are saying the same things about us that feminists were. The only reason why his girlfriend does what he says is because she's butt ugly and because she's fat. You have a 2-inch sausage. He lives with this. I mean, it's almost like they took the playbook and applied it to us, only it was by them. And this is why I say any guy who gives that any sort of credibility, like, we can't help you. If you buy into that nonsense, I mean, listen, I'm not going to be the guy who tries to convince you because you're already lost. But yeah, man, they really do use the same kind of strategies. It didn't work then, and it's not working now. And I have actually decided to take my act offline because eventually I am going to lose my YouTube channel. I hope I have it for a while, but you can't put all your eggs in one basket. Kevin Samuels tells me all the time, you have to be platform agnostic. You cannot rely solely on one income stream or one platform or the other. This is why you have to sort of spread yourself out. So live events, in-person meetups, that's really the only way that you can sort of keep, because you can't cancel a live event. You can't do that. You can't just hit a button and report. No, especially when you pay the venues. They're like, dude, screw you. Like we've had porn conventions here. We're not canceling this because you got your feelings hurt. So yeah, exactly. You can't argue with that, can you? Although I did hear that there was there an attempt to get your conference? Yeah, there were several actually. Yeah.
Right.
And I can't get into the details, but yeah, there were several attempts. And like I said, I was assured by every venue that yeah, listen, you got nothing to worry about. There are certain protocols in place to prevent, things from happening. And of course, listen, I had a heavy security. I had a bodyguard on me, bodyguard on Dev, and security at the venue was tip top. Nothing even came close to happening. I'm not going to rest my laurels though. Security when I do live in-person events, it's always going to be heavy. So that I want to make clear. But yeah, it was good. I never felt like I was in danger.
Yeah, that's cool. And I mean, how have you dealt with all of this stuff from a mental perspective, as you personally, right? Because I mean, you've talked a bit about this seen a few of your recent streams, and you've talked a little bit about this in terms of, it's kind of like you've retained a great deal of patience throughout all of this, which is admirable. And you were saying, maybe a few years ago it would have been harder and everything like this. I mean, obviously with all of the hard work plus all of the BS on top of it, I mean, how's it been these last few months?
It's definitely been mentally taxing for sure. Because you're always, and it's weird because you never really know how it is going to turn out. But mentally, I think what I did, and it wasn't good physically for me, but mentally, I just kept my nose to the grindstone. I just stayed busy all the time. Really. And then of course I put certain things in place to insulate myself from all of the BS so that I could concentrate on doing what I'm doing. And I'm going to tell you what, that's probably the biggest reason the inaugural CME was so successful, is because I didn't pay attention to the BS. I had other people, I had people in place, you know, they wouldn't report to me, but I had my email filters, you know, spammed out email filters. So nothing was getting through, almost to the point where I was missing important emails. But how I dealt with it mentally is I just stayed busy, and I made it a point not to publicly address it. Every once in a while, I would kind of crack and kind of mention it because, of course, it is around, but just not feeding into that nonsense by doing a response video or talking about this guy or that guy. That is what really, really helped me to sort of stay focused. Now, there is always a price to pay. Obviously, there's the monetary price with the, you know, with the amount of money that I had to spend, but there was also a physical toll. My kidneys had started to, what was there? They said my kidneys were sluggish, right? So my kidneys had really started to malfunction. It was kind of a perfect storm because I'm in Arizona. I'm riding my bike 15, 20 miles a day. I didn't realize how dehydrated I was. So to make a very long story very short, there was about an 8-hour period where I could not urinate. It had been difficult for me to pee for the last couple of days, but finally, the day before I was supposed to leave Phoenix to come back here to Philly to prepare for the CME and head out to Vegas, finally, I peed for the last time at like 10 o'clock in the morning. I tried time after time after time. I could not urinate. So I had to go to the emergency room out there in Phoenix. They get me back. They're like, okay, well, we need to get a urine sample. I'm like, I can't pee. She's like, okay, we'll try one more time. Physically could not pee. Yeah. So what they had to do is they had to take a catheter and stick it. Oh, dude. And it really wasn't too painful until she got to my, what is that thing? My prostate, because it had to go down. And I don't want to get too graphic, but when it's going down the shaft, it doesn't hurt, but it's definitely not comfortable. So that was all good to go. So she goes down my shaft at about like maybe 19 or 20 inches. That's when things started to get a little bit uncomfortable. No, it wasn't. No, my probably closer to 25, but I'm trying to be modest. But yeah, so she sticks it down there. And right when she gets to my prostate, I felt a little bit of a sting. And then all of a sudden, instant relief. Oh, now the urine starts to just flow right through the tube, fills up the bag. Troy, there was 1.25 liters of urine stuck in the bladder, and it was the color of iced tea. So it was brown urine, which meant that my kidneys were not functioning properly. So they said, "Oh my God, your kidneys aren't functioning properly." They hooked me up to an IV, 3 bags of saline. They said, listen, we're going to make sure you can pee by the time you get up out of here. But here's where the shit really hit the fan. They took my blood.
Not literally, I hope.
Oh no. Oh my God, dude. No. I was good to go on the number 2 side. But where they really got concerned is when they took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was at a 205 over 135. And that's like level 2 hypertension. And at that point, I was I don't know, I was close to having a stroke, but you never know. They're like, no, we got to get you on blood pressure medication stat. And one of the nurses said, to be honest with you, if you had never had trouble urinating, this might be a different story. Because a lot of people who have high blood pressure don't show signs or symptoms. I felt fine, except for the fact that I couldn't take a piss. Jeez. And so now I'm on the medication that allows me to pee. Dude, I'm peeing better than I was when I was 18 years old. Now I'm on high blood pressure medication. So that was the physical toll that I paid for just putting my head to the grindstone and really grinding it out. So my health took a little bit of a hit. I have to start taking better care of myself. I actually have to work less. So I'm going to have to work smarter. So I'm not working 18, 20 hours a day, but that's the way I dealt with it mentally. I dealt with it mentally by just shutting out all the noise and being singularly focused. There was a physical cost, but guess what? I wouldn't change a thing about it, man.
Yeah. Jesus. Well, that's you definitely went through the wars with that one, mate. I wasn't expecting that. That's that's pretty bad. I've got a similar story. I'm not going to share it on air though, because we'll be talking about our urinary issues for the whole stream, which would be maybe not quite what the viewers were wanting. But I had something a little bit similar, not as dramatic as that. And I was like, geez, it's not good. You feel very, very ill with that kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, yeah, man. I mean, that's really terrible. And I mean, you're under a lot of stress and everything. But look, you pulled it off. You know, it's been this great success, and this is now paving the way for continuing down this route. And I mean, obviously you've talked about the plans for the next one, but I mean, just generally going forward, this is the direction you're going in now, right? To produce more of these, bigger, better.
Yeah, man.
Different venues, different places.
This is exactly 100%. This is exactly why this first one was so important. I said, I've got a dude, and I only had one shot at this. I said, I got to hit this thing out of the park. This is why I had it at the venue that I had. This is why I didn't spare any expense.
Right,
because I wanted to show the world that I was serious. Like, I wasn't just trying to I wasn't just trying to throw together a conference to compete with other people. No, I was throwing together a conference to create other conferences. I think I've done that. And the fact that this first conference went off so smoothly, it was a rousing success. I actually didn't plan on having another conference until the spring, but I think I can probably pull one off this fall and in the spring and then next fall. And then when this thing really gets going, maybe I do like a multi-stop tour where I do sort of mini workshops. And I mean, the sky is not with this thing, but it all started with this first one. This is exactly why I put the amount of money I put into it, because this is the one that started it all, man.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got obviously fantastic venue, great location, etc. What's Vegas like at the moment, by the way? Is it all fully open? Is it all cool, or is it?
Yeah, it is fully open. People are not wearing masks, and I was actually fortunate. The state of Nevada opened up on June 1st, less than a week before the conference. So there was like a no mask mandate. If you were fully vaccinated, you didn't have to wear a mask. Now, we still have to wear masks when we're in airports and on airplanes, but dude, as soon as you land in Vegas, as soon as you land in the state of Nevada, it is all wide open. Stores are open. Restaurants are packed. Dude, it was packed. Like, we got there on Sunday night, May the 30th. It was packed out. Escorts, hookers, wherever. I was like, oh, if the escorts are out, then Vegas is definitely back.
Nice, man. No, I'm looking forward to getting over to the States again. As we were saying before, as and when things open up, which I think should be pretty soon. By the way, guys, if anyone's got any questions for Donovan while he's on here, do whack them into the chat, and we'll do our best to get to them. We've got, we're doing got a little bit of time left, I think.
And by the way, subscribe to my backup channel. Subscribe to my backup YouTube channel.
So this is the key thing, isn't it? Because you were saying your channel is now back, but you're not going to be able to broadcast on it for a period of time.
Yeah, my channel is back. And I thought it was a 90-day ban. It's just a 7-day ban.
Okay.
Absolutely. So in, I think on Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be able to live stream again. And at that point, the mothership will be back. And we'll be back up and running. But this is exactly why, and I actually need to start telling guys this a lot more now. This is why you got to subscribe to my backup channel. If you don't want to do that, get on my email list, because again, I've been deplatformed everywhere. Shout out to Cultivate Crypto. I appreciate that.
Good to see you.
Yeah, one of my guys. Eventually there's going to come a point where my content's not going to be available anywhere.
Yeah.
And to that point, probably not, but one never knows. And this is why, again, I want to take this act on the road. I want to take it offline. This is why I'm selling now tangible books. I don't have one of my Womanese books here, but this is why I now have the Womanese in a paperback, because you can't just click a button and delete a paperback book.
That's interesting. Do you know who else said that to me just recently? None other than do you know Nick Krauser, the British guy?
I do. I'm very familiar with Nick Krauser. Yeah, man.
Really? I mean, it was really strange. I met up with him in London for the first time.
Okay.
Met up with him in London for the first time because he happened to be coming through London, and he got in touch, and we met up for a coffee, and he was a nice guy. We had a good chat. He was a good, cool guy. But he said exactly the same thing, because all of his books I don't think any of them yet are on ebook. And he said exactly the same thing. He said, you know, with cancel culture and everything the way it is, you know, he said, I just wanted to get them out there, and I also wanted physical copies so that they couldn't just be destroyed by the click of a button.
So Spin Doctor says my Womanese Volume 1 is under review on Amazon. And that's not surprising. But here is and honestly, it's probably under review because it's probably being reported, which again is exactly why you guys have to get on my email list. But yeah, this is Womanese Volume 1, Womanese Volume 2, the Book of Womanese Volumes 1 and 2. Yeah, man, this is why, and again, this is exactly why I have to create now tangible content, because online it's going to be susceptible to people who are just trying to get you canceled. And again, it's going to happen eventually. And so thankfully for me, I'm in the unique position to be able to sort of capitalize on my online presence and maybe take it offline to the point so where I don't have to rely on any of this stuff anymore.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I mean, you know, I was trying to get guys to get onto my email list as well. Link below.
Yeah, there you go.
Because yeah, you know, like they say, don't they? You shouldn't build a business on somebody else's land. It's like somebody else owns the land. Like YouTube owns this.
That's right.
And you know, you're creating a brand or you're putting out content on here. Equally, you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, you've got Instagram. I mean, they're all owned by other people, right? So, you know, we need to have our own, well, either our own online platforms, but even that, you know, even that can be a little bit dicey. But we need to have something, you know, we need to have all these different avenues, right? And I mean, like you say, it's so ironic and it's so unfortunate that deplatforming, yes, it's one thing. You might expect that from, I don't know, the you know. Well, exactly. You might expect that from feminists. You might expect that from certain, you know, political groups and so on and so forth. But to have it from other guys within the same broad arena is just, you know, it's just a real shame, isn't it? Because there can clearly be no motivation to actually help people in doing that.
Yeah, man. It sucks. But this is what we're dealing with. And I mean, this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing at this particular time, because if I don't know, if deplatforming didn't exist, then I don't think I would ever do a CME. I don't think I'd ever do, hard copies, paperback copies of, you know, the Book of Womanese Volumes 1. Volume 3 is actually coming up here pretty soon. But that's the reason I'm doing it, because eventually I want to get to a point where I'm not actually having to rely on YouTube and these other platforms.
Yeah.
At some point, I just want to use YouTube as kind of a billboard. If you want the really good stuff, then you go to donovansharpe.com or sharpstream.com. That's really what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Taylor Carnivore's in the chat. CME was great. Yes. Other speakers and attendees were very receptive to me. Despite being new to the space, much more good. Nothing negative I could ever say.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Man. Dude, Taylor Carnivore is the real deal. He's the guy that suited me up, man. Those crisp, fancy suits were tailored by him. So shout out to him. He's going to be suiting me up for a long time.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And Sir Mr. Jason, have you tried putting stuff on locals? I know Joker is on that platform.
No, I have not. And yeah, I do know that Joker is on locals. So I definitely, Dev, if you're watching, put a pin in that, because yeah, I know that Joker's been on locals for quite a while, and I've never really squeezed the trigger on that. But again, having my YouTube channel taken down now for the second time in as many months, it's definitely time for me to start branching out.
Yeah, and somebody else, I was trying to find the comment, but somebody else further back had said, why aren't there decent alternatives to YouTube? And obviously there are other platforms. There's like DLive, there's BitChute and stuff like that. You've toyed with some of those, haven't you? Or what's your feeling on these other platforms?
Yeah, listen, man, these other platforms are great. But YouTube is the best way for you to grow. Has been and probably always will be. There are a few other, and Dev, if you could bring me a glass of cold water, if you're in the chat, bring me a glass of water, please. Oh God, I lost my train of thought because I'm thirsty. So see, I'm already thirsty and dehydrated. But wait, what was the question again? Oh,
different platforms, DLive and all that stuff.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, man, YouTube is a great. It's the reason why there will never be another platform as big as YouTube is because there's never going to be another platform that has the backing of Google. Google is a bottomless pit of money. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world that happens to be financed by the largest search engine in the world. So and not only that, it compounds because when people want to search for something, they Google it. Like we don't call window cleaner, we call it Wendex. No, Wendex is a brand. We don't call soft tissues for your nose soft tissues for your nose. No, we call them Kleenex. Here, get me a Kleenex. We've given something that has we've given a brand name to something people use every day. If you want to know something, you Google it, right? If you want to do videos, you YouTube it. That's why you're always going to be the biggest and the best. Instagram will probably come close. Things appear to be changing, but when it comes to these other platforms, it's very, very difficult to grow a following on those other platforms because those other platforms don't have the built-in SEO that YouTube does. Right? YouTube's part of Google. So when you search something on Google, it's automatically gonna come up to YouTube. So listen, man, I like the other alternative platforms, but when guys are like, hey, you should take your content here or there, I'll do it, but I can't just be there. I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to grow my business. The second best way is to actually have your own platform on your own website. I have my very own private streaming platform. It's called SharpStream. Go to sharpstream.com. That's where you can find all of the not safe for YouTube stuff.
Exactly. And on that note, can we just talk very briefly about the reality shows? Because I know you're a big you're a big exponent of breaking down reality shows. You've been doing what's the recent one you've been doing that we were talking about?
Oh, Temptation Island.
Yes. Now we had Temptation Island over here. I was watching one of the series. Awesome stuff. But I think because we were chatting about this offline, I think we're in agreement. Reality shows to me, they are one of the best ways to break down red pill truths.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. And it's funny because my second, I've had a couple of really good ascensions. When I broke down the dating show, Love is Blind, that is when things took off.
I saw that one as well. I saw that one.
The stratosphere. These videos were so popular. I actually broke the first one down on YouTube. The next day, they took it down. I was 20 minutes in to my second breakdown the very next day. 20 minutes in, they took the video down. They cut the stream. The third day in a row, they took it down before I could even get the live streaming done. At that point, I knew I had something because YouTube wanted, and it's probably a copyright thing. But listen, these breakdowns, wildly successful. And listen, you can get all of those breakdowns on patreon.com/DonovanSharpe, and pretty soon you'll be able to get it on SharpStream. But I broke down the entire 25th season of The Bachelor with the first Black Bachelor, Matt James. That's all available on all of my platforms. And and I'm going to start breaking down The Bachelorette. Wasn't able to do it this past Monday, of course, because I was actually still in Vegas on Monday night. I'm not going to be able to do it this next Monday night because I'm banned for 7 days, but I will absolutely positively be continuing to break down The Bachelorette. Dude, I'm going to continue to do these Temptation Island breakdowns. And when Love is Blind comes back, I'm going to break that one down too. Troy, you're 1,000% right. This is why Kevin Samuels and Myron Gaines, this is why Kevin, and you also did 90 Day Fiance. That was also another one I did. The reason why Kevin Samuels and Myron Gaines have just been shot into the stratosphere is because now people are beginning to see what we have been teaching for, dude. The last 10, 15 years, Troy, we've been telling you, this is what women do. This is how things work. Well, Myron and Kevin are now showing us in real time that this is really the way these bitches are. The second best way is dating shows. Dating shows, listen, there's so much red pill truth in dating shows. I can't even get through them all. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. And we've got, as I was saying to you, we've got Love Island starting in the UK very soon. So I'll be looking at doing some breakdowns of that. But when so you don't do a full breakdown on YouTube anymore, right? Because you might get taken down. Or do you sort of do you talk about the shows on YouTube and then push people through? Or what's your strategy going to be with it?
Actually, especially, and I discovered this on the season finale of The Bachelor. So what I do on YouTube, I have what's called The Bachelor pregame show.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Right. I discuss what happened last week. I don't play anything. I just discuss what happened last week. I take questions. I'll probably start taking calls. Then what I did, I killed that stream. I killed the stream on YouTube. Now people can only see it on Sharp Stream, so they can see me. They can actually watch the show and watch me break it down in real time. What else? The second thing I did is I had my smartphone here, started a live stream with my smartphone, and because the sound is coming through my headphones, they can't hear it on my smartphone, right? But they can still listen to my analysis. So now that encourages people, oh, okay, well, he's breaking the sync and see it. They're going to turn on the TV set themselves. So now in real time, without me violating any terms of service, not only can I serve my Patreon, my patrons and my Sharp Stream members, now I can serve people on the YouTube side. That would then encourage, well, I'd love to be able to see this in really real time and see his reactions. Maybe I'll sign up for Sharp Stream. Maybe I'll sign up for Patreon. So that's what I'm going to do moving forward. I'll have the pregame show. I'll kill that stream only on Sharp Stream. Then it's just going to be me and my reactions. Dude, the last one I did, it's got like 5,000 views. It's unbelievable.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. But it is such great content because it's all being played out there in front of you, you know? And people, the only criticism that I've had, because I've done a couple of little breakdowns of things. The only criticism I have had is people will say, yeah, man, but that's a reality show, so it's all made up. But I'm like, well no. I mean, it may be that, you know, that obviously the situation is contrived, but sure, the shows we're talking about, you can still see the genuine visceral reactions.
Yes.
You know, it's not these aren't scripted shows in that sense, are they? It's still... Right.
Everything is listen, man, when you're talking about people can be dishonest about whatever they want. But when it comes down to it, and we say this all the time, Troy, this is one of the old school red pill tropes. Never believe what a woman says. Watch what she does. So while women could say on a podcast or on a TV show, I want a guy who's nice and kind and lifts me up, blah, 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 blah. They show us who they really are and what they really want on these dating shows. There is now the situation isn't contrived. It just happens to be whatever environment that they're in. But when it comes down to it, women are not going to be, they cannot pretend to be attracted to men that they're not attracted to. They can't do it. They cannot do it. They can try. And why would they try? Why would they try to hook up with a guy they don't really want to hook up with just to prove the point?
Although sometimes, actually, with Love Island, that sort of thing happens sometimes a little bit, because what the whole point of that show, right, is that you've got to get into a couple and then the best couple wins, right? But if you're not in a couple and then they do a vote to evict, then you could get voted out. So what you will sometimes see is a girl or a guy and girl hooking up together or getting into a couple together because there's going to be an eviction.
Yep.
But then you can tell that she's being disingenuous. So then you can break that down, because you can say, well, you can see that she doesn't really like this dude. She's doing this. She's playing the game, you know.
And dude, and on Temptation Island, love it, dude. This was so funny. Love is Blind. And you guys can probably look and find this, but there was no better nugget of just pure, uncut red pill truth in the Jessica and Mark relationship. Jessica clearly wanted to be with Barnett. And so she was talking to both of these guys before they go to Mexico. Barnett says to Jessica, I know you're talking to Mark, so if you're talking to Mark, I'm not going to choose you. So Jessica goes back, and Jessica and Mark appeared to have, a strong relationship. I knew she was not attracted to him. I knew she wasn't, and I broke down why. So now what Jessica's doing, she goes back to Mark and she's like, hey, I kind of have to break up with you. I got to follow my heart. And Mark is like, what is this? That was pure unadulterated red pill truth, because she wanted the alpha. She was branch swinging right before our very eyes. Then she goes back to Barnett. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't really want you. I've chose somebody else. Jessica gets upset. What does she do? She goes back to Mark and says, hey, I made a mistake. I want to be with you. And the entire time on the island, she literally throws herself at Barnett. No one was surprised. No one was surprised when she didn't marry Mark in the end. That was not a shocker. That's the kind of red pill truth that this stuff provides.
No, you're absolutely right. And I just had to remind myself then of that. But I saw the series and I know exactly what you mean, because you're looking at that poor Mark dude. You just knew that he was, she was just screwing that guy over. She was just using that guy. And it was just clear that she wanted the other dude. And it was,
oh my God, it was hard to watch.
It really was. It really was, wasn't it?
Man, it really was. But again, this is what guys are going through. They're in relationships with women they think actually like them. No, the only reason why Jessica went back to Mark is she wanted a free trip to Mexico and to be on TV, and maybe tried to throw herself at Barnett. Well, unfortunately for Jessica, biology played out. Jessica's 34-year-old woman. The woman Barnett picked was 26-year-old Amber. Amber was hotter. She was younger. Amber was a big-time 304, but that's how that went, man. That's how that went. We saw it play out in real time. It was a thing of beauty, man.
No, you're right. It really, really was good, wasn't it? And Jessica as well. She was a bit, like you say, she was a bit past it. There was something a bit odd about her. She liked to drink, didn't she? She was a bit, and it wasn't surprising when he went with somebody with the other girl, because it was just like he was going to get the best deal for himself, right? And it's just all played out there, so animalistic, right? But this is just how shit goes down. But Mark got completely screwed over in the process, didn't he?
Dude, Mark, and I don't know that. I mean, listen, you can only be so oblivious for so long. I can't imagine that Mark actually believed that Jessica was going to marry him in the end. Listen, and a lot of guys are like, you'd be surprised, Donovan. I guess that's just me being red pill naive. I thought at some point this kid is going to wake up. She left him at the altar. Nobody was surprised. But then get this, Mark, with his newfound celebrity, ends up hooking up with LC, the redhead that Barnett rejected in favor of Amber and Jessica. So again, now Mark has a little bit of celebrity, but there is nothing. A man is never weaker to the opposite sex when he has money and clout, but no game. If you have money and clout, but no game, dude, you will be taken to the fucking cleaners, man. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, so many lessons you can pull out of these things. It really is incredible. But listen, so we've been on for just over an hour. Obviously, I know you're a busy man, and you're also probably very fatigued after the successful CME. So thanks for coming on. It's always great to catch up. So where can guys find you? So you've got 7 days. You're going to be on the second channel, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to be on the backup channel. You guys can actually go to my main channel and find the backup channel link. Obviously you guys, and actually just look up Donovan Sharpe and you'll see both of my channels. I'm going to be starting my Temptation Island breakdowns this coming Monday. I'm also going to be doing a special live breakdown of the first Bachelorette episode. I'm going to do that on Sunday. And that's going to be exclusively on Sharpe Stream. I can't broadcast that anywhere. So if you want access to Sharpe Stream, if you want access to the live in living color, don't have to worry about anything. We can talk the way we want. Go to sharpestream.com or patreon.com/Donovan Sharpe, and you will get you'll get all the smoke.
Great stuff. Cool. Okay. Well, that is about it for us for today. From my point of view, please do just hit subscribe to this channel. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up, all of that good stuff. Help out with the algorithms. And yeah, man, it's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, we got to do these more often, man, because you and I we go way back. We go a long
way. Definitely. Well, I'd love to do. We should do some reality TV show stuff at some point.
Dude, oh yeah, that's right. We were talking about that. Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
Like a team breakdown. Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
Definitely, man. Good stuff. All right, guys. We'll see you again very